Prodigy in Beijing to a box office phenomenon across Asia and Hollywood, his gravity-defying kicks and calm intensity redefined action cinema. Yet behind the stunts and silver screen glory lay a man facing devastating injuries, life-altering illness, and the constant struggle to maintain personal integrity. This is his story. In the bustling streets of 1960s Beijing, amid the echoes of a nation rebuilding itself, a boy named Li Lianjie was born. Small, wiry, and unassuming, he seemed ordinary, but destiny had plans far greater than anyone could imagine. Life was far from easy. Jet's father passed away when he was just 2, leaving the family in hardship. Raised by his mother alongside 4 siblings, young Li learned resilience early, a quiet determination that would become the foundation of a life shaped by discipline, courage, and relentless ambition. In 1971, during a summer sports program, 8-year-old Li discovered Wushu, China's ancient martial art. Coaches immediately saw something extraordinary: natural balance, lightning-fast reflexes, and a rare, unshakable focus. From the very first movement, it was clear he was destined for greatness. While other children struggled with basic routines, Jet executed complex forms with ease. Coaches called it effortless precision. Where others saw movement, he felt rhythm, as if the art flowed through him. It wasn't long before China's elite training programs took notice. At 9, Jet Li was selected for Beijing's prestigious Shichahai Sports School, home to the country's most promising martial artists. Under legendary coach Wu Bin, his life became a regimen of dawn-to-dusk training, where every movement, stance, and strike demanded perfection. Jet mastered Changquan, the long fist style known for explosive speed and flowing power. He trained with weapons: the Jian, straight sword; Dao, broadsword; Qiang, spear; and gun, staff, each demanding precision, rhythm, and grace. By mastering them all, he built the foundation for the cinematic style that would later stun the world. By age 11, Jet Li was dominating national competitions, often defeating older, more experienced opponents. Judges and audiences were captivated by his speed, composure, and precision. He was no longer just a prodigy, he was a national icon in the making. Each victory forged not just a champion, but a man. To Jet, Wushu was never about trophies. It was about perfecting the art, understanding its philosophy, and preparing for a life that would take him far beyond competition. From these humble beginnings, a living legend was emerging. By the early 1970s, Jet Li was no longer just a promising student. He was a rising star in China's most competitive Wushu training ground. But promise alone was not enough. To become the best, he had to endure what few could: endless hours of repetition, physical exhaustion, and a mental trial that pushed him far beyond his limits. Under the watchful eye of legendary coach Wu Bin, Jet's training intensified. Wu wasn't just a teacher, he was a strategist. He saw in Li the potential to become not just a champion, but the face of modern Wushu. His philosophy was simple: perfect technique is forged through relentless discipline. Days began before sunrise and stretched late into the evening. Jet drilled foundational forms, Taolu, acrobatics, power generation, and the precise biomechanics of movement. His body became a living textbook of Wushu: speed, strength, flexibility, and focus, all synchronized in motion. Weapons training became central to Jet's evolution. Each weapon taught a different lesson. The Jian honed grace and precision, the Dao unleashed raw power, the gun refined control and rhythm, while the Qiang demanded fluid adaptability. By mastering them all, Jet built a versatile arsenal that would later define his cinematic style. The results spoke for themselves. At just 12 years old, Jet Li captured his first national championship title, the youngest to ever do so. Over the next 5 years, he dominated China's Wushu competitions, collecting gold medals and earning the nickname, the Young General. Jet's talent soon transcended national borders. As part of China's Wushu demonstration team, he traveled abroad, even performing before U.S. President Richard Nixon in 1974. It was here that the young champion realized the power of martial arts as more than sport, as a bridge between cultures. For Jet, competition was never just about winning. Wushu was a discipline of body and spirit, a way to refine character. He studied the philosophies behind each form, learning that true mastery was not measured by medals, but by how one moved through life itself. By the time Jet Li retired from competition in his late teens, he had achieved what few could dream of: a perfect competitive record, legendary status in China, and the respect of the global martial arts community. But his journey was far from over. In fact, the stage was already being set for his next transformation, from champion to cinematic icon. By the late 1970s, Jet Li had conquered the Wushu world, multiple national titles, international acclaim, and the respect of martial artists worldwide, all achieved before the age of 18. But Jet felt something deeper calling him. Competition had forged his body and mind, or now it was time to share that mastery with a far larger audience. In 1982, at just 19 years old, Jet Li made his film debut in Shaolin Temple. It was more than a movie, it was a cultural event. Audiences were captivated by his authentic technique, fluid speed, and powerful presence. Every strike, every leap, every sequence was real. No wires, no trick shots, just pure wushu brought to life on screen. Jet's challenge was to transform traditional Taolu, highly technical, precise routines, into cinematic storytelling. He fused Changquan's sweeping power with Nanquan's explosives on screen. Shaolin Temple was a box office phenomenon, launching Jet into instant stardom across Asia. Sequels followed, each one expanding his range and introducing audiences to deeper layers of Chinese martial philosophy. By the early 1990s, Jet Li was no longer just a star, he was a symbol. His performances had elevated martial arts cinema to new heights in Asia, but now, a new challenge awaited: the global stage. And it began with a role that would redefine not just his career, but the very language of action films. In 1991, Jet Li took on the role of Wang Fei Hung in Once Upon a Time in China, a legendary folk hero and martial artist. It was more than a performance, it was a cultural awakening. Jet blended traditional Hung Gar techniques with cinematic choreography, embodying discipline, patriotism, and unyielding resolve. The film became an instant classic, propelling him into superstardom. Jet Li's fight choreography revolutionized the action genre. His movements were not just spectacular, they were storytelling in motion. Wushu's sweeping strikes conveyed power, China's joint locks expressed control, and the philosophy behind Taolu gave every duel emotional weight. Each fight scene became a conversation, not just between fighters, but between ideals. Jet's talent couldn't be contained by language or borders. In 1998, he made his Hollywood debut as the villain in Lethal Weapon 4, stealing every scene with unmatched speed and ferocity. Soon after, he took center stage in Romeo Must Die, Kiss of the Dragon, and The One, introducing global audiences to a new kind of martial arts hero: graceful, lethal, and deeply human. By the purpose. For Jet Li, martial arts has never been just about fighting. It is a philosophy, a path of self-mastery. Each stance, each strike, each movement embodies discipline, patience, and focus. From his earliest days in Beijing to the global stage, he has approached Wushu as a lifelong teacher, shaping not just his body, but his character. Training was never enough. Jet studied philosophy, meditation, and the moral principles behind each martial art form. His fight scenes reflect this inner balance: precision, tempered with calm, speed guided by purpose, and power controlled by wisdom. On screen, every move tells a story. Off screen, every action reflects a life of mindful dedication. Jet Li's influence extends far beyond his own performances. Through mentorship, charity, and public teachings, he has inspired generations of martial artists. He demonstrates that mastery is not measured in medals or fame, but in the ability to uplift others, in passing knowledge, values, and spirit from one generation to the next. From a small boy in Beijing to a global icon, Jet Li's journey is more than a tale of skill. It is a story of purpose, perseverance, and passion. Every fight, every role, every lesson reflects a life dedicated to the art, and a legacy that will continue to inspire the world for generations to come. Truly, he is not just a martial artist or actor, he is an artist of life itself. If this inspired you, comment your favorite Jet Li moment and what story we should cover next. Like, subscribe, and share to support future stories.